All right, welcome, Harmless Dave, over on the Real Media Observer. Thank you for being here and for subscribing and watching the videos. And please subscribe. What happens is I pick up subscribers and then they slowly kind of get taken off. This is my opinion. I think people are just, they're not, maybe they are unsubscribing. You know, it's just weird because I have this other channel and I typically see growth on that channel. And on this particular channel, it's weird. I'm happy. I'm over 8,000, which is impressive, thanks to Scott Ritter, whose interview kind of went viral. So I'm pretty happy about that. And hopefully I'm going to have Scott Ritter on again because he and I need to talk about this development with the United States using members of ISIS. Now, I'm not making this up, to go to Ukraine to fight on behalf of the United States. That's all. I mean, or Ukraine, but they're essentially. Let me give you this story. And again, this comes from one of those disinformation sources that you're not allowed to talk about. So there are two websites that were really frowned upon, and they're supposedly Russian propaganda. This comes from one of those websites. Now, think of it this way. The United States has no vested interest. The U.S. media has no interest in putting this story out there, right? Because they've already told everybody that Russia bad, Ukraine good. And so if the CIA is recruiting Daesh militants, which that's what this story claims, to be sent to Ukraine, according to a source, then the media here pretty much in the United States and in the Western world is going to completely ignore this. So here's a little bit of it. To date, the Kurds have already handed over to the United States several Daesh high-ranking leaders and about 90 fighters, mainly from among citizens of EU countries, including Iraq, the Chechen Republic, and Xinjiang, the source added. For now, the U.S. plans to deploy the militants on the territory of its At Tanf military base located in southern Syria. Again, Daesh is also known as either ISIS or ISIL. I remember when Obama insisted on calling it ISIL instead of ISIS. And I'm not sure why that was so important at the time. I remember reading about it. Now I've completely forgotten about it. By the way, Daesh is a terrorist organization that is banned in Russia. So it's very interesting, the level of strange bedfellows here that we're seeing. And if this is true, if this is true, it shows you to what length the United States will go to mess up what Russia is trying to do, which is to denazify. Now, you're going to send ISIS over to fight with Nazis to overthrow Russia or to defend the Ukrainian homeland from those wascally Russians who are trying to defend the eastern part of Ukraine from the shelling and attacks from the western part of Ukraine, because the eastern part of Ukraine is predominantly Russian speaking, and Russia essentially recognized those territories as essentially republics, sovereign places that were separate from the rest of Ukraine. That is known as the Donbass region. There is a lot of heavy fighting going on in Donbass. The people in Donbass have been under attack for the last 8 years, and it's only escalated. And most people here in the West don't even understand what that conflict is all about. But we did install a puppet government back in 2014, thanks to Lindsey Graham and John McCain, and with the blessing of Barack Obama. So all of the neocons were involved, and it was the United States at its absolute worst when it comes to doing regime change. And, a lot of these neocons who tend to be conservative on some things, right, are not conservative when it comes to saving American soldiers. This is what's weird is, I hear all the time from conservatives. What are they conserving? They're not conserving money. We know that because we'll spend billions of dollars. They're not conserving talent. They'll send soldiers over there. And certainly they're not conserving treasure because guess what? We'll be sending, weapons over there until I don't know who gets to pick up the weapon and uses it, but until there are no people left to actually, use the weapons, I think we'll still drop them over there and then they'll fall into the hands of Russia, who is securing area after area as they methodically conduct their special military operation, as they like to call it. Meanwhile, we haven't heard anyone talk about negotiations with Russia and Ukraine for months now. There was a little bit of talk at the beginning of the conflict. Biden yesterday came out and said that they're in it for the long haul. The United States will continue to supply weapons and funding for this never-ending war with Ukraine. Now, I still think that Russia will wrap this up. I'm not sure when. I was hoping it would happen in July, just because, you know what, we need to get back to a place where there isn't as much chaos in the world. And I'm thinking Russia is trying to bring order to things. Certainly they have struck out on their own, Russia, and essentially their war with Ukraine has essentially realigned the world. And the power has now shifted away from the United States, and it's more in the hands of Russia, China, Brazil, India, and a few other places, Hungary. There are some people who they're not going to buy into the Western rules-based order, whatever that means, right? Rules-based order means, hey, if we don't like what you're doing and you're breaking our rules, we're going to go in there and try to beat you back and teach you a lesson. We'll try sanctions, which aren't working. Russia is a stronger country today than it was at the beginning of the special operation. So I figured I'd throw this out there because you're not going to hear this in Western media, that the CIA is now recruiting members of ISIS in Syria. And this is another incredible development with United States foreign policy. I don't know whatever happened to our way of doing foreign policy. The founders of this country told us to avoid foreign entanglements, and instead we look to every entanglement that we can put ourselves into to destroy our own economy and to bring the morale of our own population down as it occurs, because nobody wants to go to war. Nobody likes war. Diplomacy is not a thing. I don't even think we have diplomats in this government. Who's John Kerry? Who's a diplomat in this current administration? Nobody. And again, I'm not saying Mike Pompeo was better, but it's just sad that we only have one solution, and that is to ramp up military operations in Ukraine, a country that is currently losing a war and not winning it, despite what Victoria Nuland or Tony Blinken or anybody else would tell you. This is pouring money into a sinkhole, all right? And the United States citizenry needs to wake up and needs to demand that this stop, and tell your senators, tell your congresspeople, enough. We've had enough. We had enough before it started, but now with inflation hitting record levels and a recession, which is about to be formally declared, from what I understand, we've got more important things to worry about than a never-ending boondoggle in Ukraine. So that's my video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications on new videos. Patreon, if you can help me out for $1 a month, and I will see you soon.